The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
196, 197, 198, 199, 200.
Oh my god! He did it! He did 200 push-ups! Totally! Like,
wow, that took us like 4 years. How long did it take you to do those push-ups?
Oh, so fast!
Oh, that
I just figured, I'd crank 200 out for you guys for your 200th episode.
Good God! Yeah, see, that's
this is the greatest callback ever.
Yeah, this is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. Just in case anyone's wondering, if you're watching live, yes, Yong Woo started doing push-ups about 2 hours ago. We just didn't hit the live button until just now. And if you're listening audio only, which we know tens of thousands of you do each and every week, you're probably very confused. We highly recommend you go and watch the video real quick because it didn't necessarily translate all that well to audio. But no, you have not tuned into the wrong podcast. This is indeed the Angry Chicken. This is indeed the 200th episode of the Angry Chicken, and we are indeed Jocelyn Moffat, Willie Dills Gregory, our very special guest today, Yong Woo from Team 5, and me, Garrett Weinzierl. Welcome, everyone.
This is exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's I'm so excited to be here. I've been listening to you guys since basically, I think episode 2. I think Jocelyn was recalling correctly last week. I mean, it's hard to believe that we announced the existence of Hearthstone at PAX East, like I think 4 years ago. PAX East is next week, so I guess it's almost exactly 4 years. It's been awesome to you guys. And you guys have like grown tremendously since, and our team has grown tremendously since too. It really feels like this has been like a cool adventure together.
Oh man, thank you. You're getting all mushy like right out the get-go, man. I was expecting...
I remember when Jocelyn was wide-eyed, going, "What is tempo? What's the card draw?"
God, Young, calling me out, man.
But you know what? Like, I went back to episode 1. For a segment for later, and it was awesome because you were totally the voice of like everybody who was learning about card games for the first time. You were like, "Stop! Wait, what is tempo?" And then we'd actually talk about it. Now we just like blow right by all these things again. We got to get back to that.
I know. I still get emails being like, "Joss, can you please just slow it down? I'm new. I don't understand."
Well, the new player experience is now just like a completely different thing, right? Because it's another thing too. We were talking beta. We were talking whatever, 300 cards, like there was not as much of this there is now. It's kind of crazy how much the game has changed and grown in 4 years. Jeez.
Yeah. I wish I could take like current Joss brain and all her understanding back to when there was only 300 cards, because I feel like I would have been so good. I might have actually been able to play Rogue even.
Oh,
dude,
snap.
Everybody could play Rogue. They were broken. Remember?
Yeah, in beta, yeah, you played coin, and this is our town. You're done. You win the game.
Even then, I was like, I remember I was playing on an airplane. I think I was going to Nerdtacular. I was playing on an airplane, and I was just like, "What is combo? Why is none of this working? I don't understand. It's supposed to do cool stuff, but I can't get it to work."
I remember that Nerdtacular very much, because that was the Nerdtacular I spent an entire weekend having countless fan attack after countless fan come up, challenge me to a game, and run the table on me because of Miracle Rogue at the time. I was terrible at playing it, and I was terrible at countering it, and all I did all weekend was lose to every single person I played to, because all they were doing was playing Miracle Rogue.
I mean, it's crazy to think about it, right? Because, we announced, and then we started beta, and, and then we went open beta and finally shipped. And the whole time we were basically playing with like the same set of cards for like a really long time. Now, if you can imagine that now, it's like I think we're all chomping at the bit by the time it gets to like 2 to 3 months after an expansion launches. And it's like, oh, when's the next thing? Like, why isn't things changed? Like, everything's the same. And it is such a different world. And, now with a lot of players playing and we have a lot of really talented, advanced players, pro players who are like solving the matter really quickly. We have, we have groups that like statistically analyze the game, converging like the community's consensus, like in a really accelerated pace towards a solved meta. Like I think in many ways, I think we're like we've grown so much, we've changed so much. Hearthstone team's been really been kind of learning a lot from everything that's going on, and we're really excited to kind of take all this learning and bring it into 2017 as well, where it's like, hey, it's the same game from 4 years ago. We're not the same set of cards for like 2 years until next Rammus comes over. Here's like 40 more cards. Enjoy.
No, I was listening back to, because we'll do a segment later where we're going to revisit some of episode 1 here, but listening back to it was funny because we were talking about basically like, oh my, like Trump has got this game figured out. That guy, he knows all the ins and outs. And basically like the community was so small that the people you could kind of look to, there wasn't like Hearth Arena gathering data and then spitting it back out onto Reddit. There wasn't, tier lists being created with fancy algorithms, and there weren't, practice partners on, really, really high-level teams working things out and coming with the best builds of each different type of deck. That didn't happen. There wasn't. I think actually Trump was like the first pro player, like guy signed to a team.
He got sponsored by
the game
Razer.
was released. And so that was it. Like that was who was working on all the strategy and stuff. It was like Trump, that guy.
Yeah, there was like Trump and Savitz, and I think Christopher was playing too. But I can't really. There was like I'm trying to remember who was in like our first. Yeah, our first like invitational, which even then was like 6 months after the game, the beta happened, I guess, and we had like 4 pro players, and those were like the only pro players.
Yeah, we were like, well, I've heard of these 4 guys. Yeah. Let's get them in here. And now it's like you've got the ESL Trinity series where it's teams of 3 playing 6-hour matches, and it's incredibly intense. Each turn they're roping, talking about every possible move that they could make. And every time like someone talks to me about like RNG and stuff, I go like, watch those 3 guys talk about Hearthstone, man, because there is like 5 different moves, and there is definitely one optimal one, and to find it is incredibly difficult. Like it, and I never thought of Hearthstone in that way, like at the beginning of this show, right? It took a long time for us to get there, so it's cool watching us grow along with you guys, and you guys understand like the complexity of the game. Discover becoming such an important mechanic and things like that, because that's like the kind of stuff that the community really enjoys, is like decision making. That way the game has grown has been awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at a point where a lot of us have been together for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, and we've been growing together as like player and development team, but also as like as players together, figuring out like what's fun for the game, also kind of growing the overall skill level of the more experienced and advanced players. But at the same time, like it's easy to forget that like a giant majority of our players are actually us from 3 years ago. And it's like kind of trans, because you're just Joss, you're just talking about, it's like, hey, what if I took my brain now into Joss 3 to 4 years ago? Well, what if we took Joss's brain into Joss now from 4 years ago? And the stuff we're talking about, I think, could like totally blow our minds, and it's a really exciting time for Hearthstone, where I think we are concentrating on hitting that balance, and I think in many ways we're doing a good job, and in some ways I think we need to improve. So through 2017 we're really excited about that, and Umgoro patch. Umgoro expansion specifically, I'm really excited to kind of show you guys how we straddle that line between, fun for everyone, and also kind of give those 3 dudes at the Trinity, tournament, sitting in a room optimizing, a reason to do that.
Well, while we're speaking of Ungoro, now and don't get me wrong, I could sit here all day and just listen to Yong Woo talk about how awesome our show is and how awesome his game is, and yada yada yada. But you mentioned Ungoro, and we have you here, Yong, and I'm pretty sure the collective internet would come through my Ethernet cord and strangle us if we didn't actually interview you a little bit about, I don't know, a few of the massive giant bombs that have been dropped in terms of information on what is coming in the near future for Hearthstone. So let's talk a little bit about Ungoro. I mean, we've heard quite a bit actually in recent weeks and months about how long it takes to develop a new Hearthstone set. So we're assuming Ungoro's been cooking about 8 or 9 months now. But when exactly? Were you in the meetings? When was Ungoro the decision? Of all the crazy, wacky ideas, I'm sure everyone's batting around, or if nothing else, Ben Bro just yells as he's walking down the hallway. How do you land? How did they decide on this theme?
Yeah, as we approach somewhere in the range of last year's when we need to really start nailing this down and get going, right? Contrary to I think some people, we don't just snap our finger and then we have to, why are you just doing 135 cards? What's the big deal? Just
there's no expansion button. What?
put some numbers on a card. Why is it so hard? So whenever we have the team has grown, and obviously Bro's been doing a great job, and his design team has grown. We have we largely divide our team into initial design that comes up with the concept and does the pitching, puts together the core theme of the set and the core mechanic, and then they had it for kind of a period of time that gets handed off to a second independent team called the final design team, and now they take it and make sure it's balanced, make sure it's polished, make sure it's super fun, right? So for initial design for Ungoro, our lead designer for Ungoro was Peter Whalen. So it was his job to come up with a lot of pitches. Some are his own. A lot he takes from kind of the team in total. He's like a lens through which we collect all these ideas. We had a ton of really good ideas, and we obviously have them all kind of lined up somewhere, and we'll tap into it into the future. But really, when Peter said, look, it's going to be about dinosaurs, and it just really sold everybody on that pitch. A lot of us grew up watching Jurassic Park, just speaking, when we're thinking about dinosaurs and what does it mean for Hearthstone, because we really like to use Hearthstone as a lens to explore kind of different aspects of the World of Warcraft. So really excited, and we're like, okay, wait, so let's do dinosaurs. What does it mean to do dinosaurs in Hearthstone? Where would we go to explore dinosaurs? And it's let's go to Ungoro. Totally makes sense. We're going for this primal dinosaur vibe. For me, for instance, personally, it's a place that has a special place in my heart. I used to always hang out there, and my guild used to have a disco party in the cavern where it's all lit up by those crystals, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's go to Ungoro, and how that ball gets rolling, and then from there it's okay, so awesome dinosaurs at Ungoro. How do we make dinosaurs even more awesome? And that's the idea of kind of adapt came along. The crystals that exist in Ungoro really in the beginning we want to represent them some way in the game. More we kind of thought about the design, it was especially for people who haven't played World of Warcraft, which there are a lot of players who never have. It's wait, what's up with this dinosaur? What are these crystals? It was hard message to pull together. So we thought a step further. What if these crystals, after prolonged exposure to these magical crystals, what would happen to these dinosaurs? And that that evolved into this adapt mechanic. And then some other thoughts we had were, okay, so we're going to Ungoro and we're exploring this place. Why are we there? and that really got us rolling in the lineup. It's like, we're here because, like we're explorers and we're here to fulfill some quests. So that kind of led to the quest mechanic. And Ngor is filled with these energy and kind of the manifested elementals. So that ended up building those three mechanic, and they're very like top down approach. Like we had this theme, dinosaurs and Ngor, exploring Ngoro, and then that led to, okay, what's the coolest game mechanic for those ideas?
Awesome.
For anybody who doesn't know, by the way, the crystals in Ngoro, you would collect them and it would like buff you, right? So this is a pretty sweet way to kind of incorporate that. I didn't even kind of make that connection until you just brought that up. But yeah, because if I spent so much time with Ngoro, eventually I was like, oh yeah, the crystals, whatever. I'm not going to collect those because I'm here to level from like 50 to 55 and get out of here, right? But when I first got there, I remember exploring like everything about that place, climbing that volcano in the middle, all the way to the top because there was the rare fire elemental dude at the top, and you would kill him for a quest, and then obviously we've talked about the mechanical ape and all that stuff. Like, but I remember like top to bottom that whole place. But that first time you go to that zone, it just seems so big and so like you're just lost in this jungle, and then all of a sudden like giant dinosaur like comes up behind you and just murders you.
And eats you, and then there's that like random golem, that random stone elite golem, and you're like running away from dinosaurs and you AoE accidentally and he eats you.
Sure. Yeah.
Right,
it's a very dangerous place.
Yeah,
it's true.
Very dangerous feeling place. And that's one of the, like kind of feelings we wanted to evoke, because whenever we take, whenever we take us to a place in Azeroth, we really want to focus on this feeling we had about the place. Not necessarily all the details are going to line up. But, what was the feeling that, evoked in us? And I think the design team did a really good job with Ngoro. It feels dangerous, it feels vast, and it feels like we're really there to explore things, and like fulfill these quests. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Feels dangerous, eh?
Yeah, I think we want to, always make cards that, feel powerful and exciting. And, I think that really fits with our goal in Hearthstone in general, and, with a Ngoro.
Well, keep going with this. And also, I believe we all said this at BlizzCon, may have even said it to you. Annoy the World of Warcraft team more. I want your version of Gadgetzan in World of Warcraft, and I want these crystal infused monstrosities in my Ngoro crater.
Well, the World of Warcraft, and we work independent from each other. In some ways, we like to think of two different teams working on the same IT, like we're building up this world together, side by side. So we work independently from each other, but we have a lot of discussions with each other. It's really cool. Like I love seeing. I don't know if you guys saw the latest Hearthstone box that's inside of World of Warcraft now, where it's like it opens up and there are pieces that move, and in some ways you're like, oh yeah, I guess that's how it would work, because unlike with us, we kind of zoom you in and out, and there's like, oh yeah, magic happened, and here your collection.
Yeah.
But in WoW, they're really like, okay, so it opens up, and there are these gears, and the cards come out, and then that opens up, and that's where the arena is. Like, it's
well, if you were to steampunk create the box, right?
Exactly.
A little magic. That's how it would work. Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
I kind of think of Hearthstone and World of Warcraft at this point as like two alternative timelines to the same universe, right? Like you've got like your MCU with like comic book movies and stuff, and then you've got like, the rest of it where they're like, yeah, and it was just fine to just treat them as two different things where they don't always have to coincide exactly. We could take similar things and themes and characters and have them do different things, and they don't have to exactly intersect every single time, right? Like you don't have to go in now to Gadgetzan and run into grimy goons. It's okay because you get them in Hearthstone.
You're missing the point. I want it. That's what I want.
No, I'm not missing that point. I'm just saying that that's just what it is now, right? Like, and I really like that Hearthstone isn't just kind of beholden to the World of Warcraft and coming up with exact, like, okay, I want to come up with this card. What character exists in World of Warcraft that we can, and sometimes that works, But sometimes it's really cool to create a brand new character, right?
Yeah.
And then you do see the little bit of back and forth where like Sir Finley Murgleton like made his way into World of Warcraft. So it's kind of cool to just not be forced into any box now. Hearthstone box talk callback. But yeah, like you can just do whatever you want.
Absolutely. Like one way, I was having a chat with Ben Brode, and one way he really helped me kind of reconcile, because there could be a part of me that's like, okay, like where is this in the timeline, and why is this inconsistent, and like is this retconned, or like you can go down that track, and kind of Brode's conversation with me is like, imagine you're in this inn and you're having this wonderful fun time with your buddies, and you're playing this game of Hearthstone, and let's say maybe you even had a few beverages, and then you guys are talking these tall tales.
You guys play Hearthstone like I do. Oh, nice.
Maybe, yeah. Like you're telling this tall tale about, this place called Karazhan and crazy stuff that happens there, or I heard about this dangerous town called Gadgetzan and this goes on, and it's kind of that it's kind of multiplied by the imagination of the people who are in this inn, and same with the Umgoro expansion where. It's like, I heard this tale that like Elise went to Umgoro and discovered these dinosaurs. And what if you were to tell this tale, like again, what would be that feeling, and how would that translate into cards? And that really works for me. That's,
Elise card confirmed.
Actually, no. I mean, I can talk about that. Actually, Elise card. We will have an Elise card in Umgoro.
Oh snap! Awesome.
Yes,
Elise card confirmed.
Can you slip an
I
image?
think that was kind of obvious, though.
A couple things I wanted to clarify about that is it's not a reprint. She's gonna be a very different with a different name, a little bit like Ragnaros and Ragnaros Light Lord.
Light Lord, okay,
Nice.
or Deathwing Dragon Lord.
Definitely does something that makes you go like, what are you even talking about? I can't talk about what that is yet. I look forward to, I believe next week, I think we're going to show it off. So
we're 10 days away from
10
when we start revealing. So.
Yeah. Oh
So
no,
much suspense,
Young.
I love it.
The live stream.
I think you slipped on the mouse and put an image in the Skype chat. Oh no.
I mean, a couple of things is so Elise will be only one of the explorers that'll be joining us in Umgoro. So it's not like we're gonna have Reno and Bran and the entire crew back. This is about her and her bringing the Junior League. But the other thing I want to clarify was the Junior League themselves are not cards in the set.
I bet you summon them.
This is not a trick. This is not a trick answer. So, yeah. But I really look forward to Elise. I think she's a character we came up with that adventure and with the League of Explorers, and we really enjoyed her character, and we wanted to explore her more and spend more time with her. So I think when we were talking about Umgoro Crater and we were going to go explore it, who would be our guide? Elise was definitely one of the names that came up in like the first or second brainstorm meeting.
Nice.
I feel like she doesn't get the same kind of rub that like Reno and Bran, when they're rotating out, everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're not going to have Reno anymore. It's like, what about Elise? Elise was so cool. You're going to just play Control Warrior where you had nothing but removal, and then you just, okay, now I'm going to slam a bunch of legendaries. Like that card was amazing to me. So I'm glad that
Golden
that character
Monkey.
is
I
returning.
mean,
Golden Monkey. Come on, that was the greatest.
Yeah, and because I have to go down that road, Elise is actually one of my favorite illustrations from that entire set. So I'll miss just staring at that cool piece. But
I totally agree. Yeah, like we're super in love with her character.
Yeah. And I'm gonna address the chat room real quick, which is gonna break the flow a little bit. We're aware that Young's audio is skipping a little bit. There's not really much we can do because it's just Skype things.
As long as it's not something I'm doing. Yeah.
No.
When I came to your house in Florida, I kept doing this for some unknown reason. For the viewers, sorry, listeners who can't watch, I basically was just oscillating left to right for no reason. Joss kept telling me, it's like, hey, stop moving. And I'm like,
It's all right. I tend to find myself pulling out of frame from time to time as well.
Oh, yeah. Fun fact, I was actually just jabbing Young in the leg with a screwdriver every time he got too close to me. That's why he was oscillating.
Remind me never do a show next to Garrett. Oh.
Yeah, Garrett's brutal.
I said jabbing, not stabbing. It's just like a poke.
Okay, all right. Fine.
Like a poke, not a, like, I'm pretty sure he would have been screaming instead of oscillating. But
we'll have to come visit your new place. I'm really excited about your new house.
Absolutely, man. Next time you're in town, let me know. And we'll give, I'm sure we'll give the community managers another heart attack with last minute request
I know.
of.
It's like, I'm going to at Garrett's place. What?
Hey guys, I'm on vacation. I'm gonna also just stop into this one podcaster's house and do an interview with like 1 day warning. All right, have fun. Anyway, getting back to Ngoro, I'm curious if there are any like fun themes in Ngoro that may come as a surprise that you can speak about. And I guess like an example to explain what I'm talking about is like if you're a Warcraft fan, you know about Karazhan. But I don't think those of us who even knew about Karazhan were necessarily expecting a bunch of magical dinnerware as like a sub-theme in the cards. Is there anything like that in Ngoro? What's up with the turtle people, man? There are turtle people in that key art. I want to know what's up with the turtle people.
So the turtle people are definitely a thing, not just in the key art.
All right.
So one of the things that we were really excited to do with Ngoro was in really exploring this place. Let's really dig into not just the kind of the beasts and the plants that live in this place, but like who are the indigenous people. So we're actually going to have a blog post next week that talks more of these turtle people.
Cool.
And there are going to be cards featuring these turtle people. So I heard this is as far as I can go for this.
All right. Turtle people info incoming.
All right.
Yes,
fair
turtle
enough.
people. You heard it here first.
Turtle people is a thing. Okay.
They are not just set dressing in key art. Good to know.
No, that wasn't just like some artist decided to draw.
Do these turtle people know ninjutsu?
Yes. What kind of weapons may they wield?
Are they really good friends with an oversized rat?
Maybe. I don't know. But we actually spent a lot of time, concept art team spent a lot of time with our initial design team, just like this stuff out. It's fun because we did a chunk of that for Gadgetsan, but up until recently, our team is bigger and we can do kind of more exploration. But before we were like, okay, we got to make the set we're going to be kind of very focused on it, efficient about it, and get it done. Now we have a lot more of an opportunity to be like, all right, Ngoro, we're going to explore this place. Artists, designers, just why don't you explore imagination? Like draw, 50 different plants that would exist in Ngoro. Like draw like 50 different indigenous beings that could exist in this world. And then from there, like now that we have all these ideas, we can like look at it and really kind of pick what we want to go with, and then build up that. That was really exciting for Ngoro. And
you're like, well, this one eats people. This one also eats people. This one over here eats turtle people. This
one eats dinosaurs.
This is a dinosaur eating one.
It could also eat people, but they're too small to really fulfill its hunger.
It wouldn't be satisfying. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But I think it really helps with like the art direction. I think we have a lot more consistent art direction and a lot more kind of imaginative exploration. It also, I feel, helps with gameplay where a lot of it is different things sparking different imagination, right? Look at a piece of art, we're like, man, I really want to make a card for that. Or it could be like, oh, hey, like this idea of crystals in Ngoro, I really want to make a mechanic that somehow like brings it into this set. And I think that kind of almost these kind of constraints, right? Like you got to be like, oh, like look at this plant and then come up with something about this plant that really stimulates our imagination more. Sometimes you feel like, hey, do whatever. You feel like you're going to get the most imaginative stuff, but I think it's kind of concentrated exploration that really helps us.
Thank you for digging into that. I didn't know you you did that like that level of concept design with some of the art. Although it makes sense now because like just looking at it, especially if you look at like the basic and classic cards set, which was a lot of reused stuff from the TCG. And now there's a lot more harmony, I think, across the board, just in art direction and in theme.
No, well, I love when you can look at a card and you can understand why it does what, like Big Time Racketeer is like a great example where you look at it and then there's like this little goblin with the gun and in the background's looming this giant ogre right behind him, right? And you're like, okay, that makes sense. There's a little 1/1 who summons a giant dude that's like his bodyguard. It's perfect. Like I love the idea that the concept art then like leads to ideas and themes.
Yeah. Cool. No, I really appreciate you saying that because I think there could be an aspect of me that's like, like chop, get these paintings done, and then we'll get the next paintings done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Whipping
like
at the artist. We need ideas.
Let's crank him out. Versus now, it's like, like take this month and explore. Like now we have the opportunity to say that. Like thanks to all of your support and like continued love players have for the game. Like we can really take that time to be like, let's make the set awesome. Let's really imagine the world. And then deliver. So I'm really excited for it. Like we started doing a lot of this in Gadget Sen, but it was kind of at its infancy. I think with Umgoro we've kind of a lot more of these processes to the degree I really wanted to do it in, and we're gonna grow on that more.
It sounds like the process has just been refined over time now. Like you guys now are like a well-oiled machine where it's not just somebody comes up with cards and then we just grab art. Because, the original set is a lot of art from the WoW TCG, right? Which has just been kind of transferred directly into Hearthstone. And then it was, as time went on, and we've talked about it on this show, you could really see that the concept and the art really seemed to gel in a much more real way. Nothing felt shoehorned in. Nothing felt like forced at all. Everything felt like natural, like this card. Another example like I could use of the Mean Street set is Burgley Bully. He's like running around dropping coins out of this bag, right? And it's just like it just makes sense. Like he gifts you coins, right? So like that kind of stuff really does translate into the game feeling more seamless.
That cool. Said, all that said, if we ever get like a redone version of Leroy Jenkins, Penny Arcade better do the art again because I'm so married to it.
I'll make sure to mention that.
Yeah, he's a special card.
Yeah. So 3 like brand spanking new things, like big like name things have been announced. Quests, Adapt, and Elementals. These are all new things coming to Hearthstone and Ungoro. My question, are they new to you though? Are they new to Team 5, or are these mechanics and minion types that you all have been trying to get into the game for a while now? And it just happened to the stars aligned for whatever reason with this set.
So as we continue to explore, we have a pool of mechanics that are excited about. So sometimes we, take a look at a certain game mechanic and go, okay, look, this is really fun. Let's figure out a way to like get them to fit into the set. And that's, we call that bottom-up approach. The 3 game mechanic you mentioned, there's a little bit of that, but a lot of it was really more top-down. It came from this sense of let's explore Umgoro. What does that mean? So we have dinosaurs that are beasts. We're in Umgoro to explore, and we're here in a quest to find lost artifacts and do other things. So then the quest cards, like the whole idea of quest cards came to like fulfill that fantasy. And for elementals, same thing. Like elementals exist in Umgoro. What's a cool game mechanic we can apply to elementals that we think will make Umgoro exciting? And we didn't really talk about that game mechanic yet. We just talked about the fact that elemental is a new minion type. But I forget if we're doing it next or week after, but I'm very excited to share that with you guys as well, because I think there's some players who are just like, great, we have elementals. What's the big deal? Like,
so far we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, all elementals get +1/+1. Like, great. Yeah. It's like Murloc, but fire.
But you know, like that was why people
Murloc's
were
on
immediately
fire.
talking about Pyros, the mage card, not being good, right? And they're like looking at it immediately. I'm like, well, you don't know what elemental means yet.
Yeah.
So like, let's hold off here, because what if there's something amazing with elementals, right? Pirates were always a thing that everyone was like, yeah, the pirate tag doesn't mean much, and it was a meme deck to create pirate decks. And it's like, well, look what happens when you just get a little bit of synergy, right? Like all of a sudden everything can change. So
Now, hold on a second. Sometimes Team 5 like reveals us something in a meme setting, like patches at BlizzCon. They're like, yeah, you gang them up into your deck and it's ridiculous.
Sure.
No, it turns out
I was sitting next to Noxious that day watching it right then, and we both said the same thing. We were like, just put it in any pirate deck. Right? We were like, you get a free pirate. That's got to be good. So,
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, the gang up thing, everyone was like, okay.
Yeah, that seems a little. I don't think anyone's going to do that. Turns out, just put the card in your darn deck. It doesn't. You don't need to get that fancy with it. But that's great.
But it's so much funnier with gang up.
Yes, it's true.
Yes, it is.
It's true. Yeah. No, I quite enjoyed playing the gang up ships cannon deck in Wild. It was quite fun.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
All right, so I have a question that I cannot let you get away without me asking this question.
Oh, here we go.
I understand how mammoths kind of fit into Angoro. They're very primal. I get it. But Yong, I thought we were friends. Why would you tease me with Year of the Unicorn and then not give me Year of the Unicorn? I don't understand. Like, this was 2 weeks of total heartbreak for me as I tried to get over the announcement of Year of the Mammoth. So, why do you hate unicorns?
Well, so first of all, I love unicorns. In fact, I have a unicorn sitting at my desk. I'll take a picture for you, and I'll tweet it to you to prove it.
I'll be looking for that because I don't believe it.
No, I mean, it's, when we're looking down the law for 2017, we really wanted an animal that fits the theme of what we want to do with a year. And one part of it is like, does it have some relationship with expansion? It's kind of got the prehistoric vibe, and we're going to Ngoro, yes. But the other aspect is, we want 2017 to be a really big year for Hearthstone, like across all spectrum. Like we want there to be more content and more options for the meta than there before, and that's really what's motivated us to do 3 expansions this year. We're doing the thing with adventure, where again we want adventures to be more widely available than ever before, where one can play these missions for free and experience like the story and the background and the characters, so more people than ever before. We want to do things with esports that's like bigger and better than ever before. And I know, you guys are kind of watching us grow here, and there's some growing pain as well. But I think we're kind of demonstrating that we're doing things and learning things and growing rapidly. I mean, Jesus, guys, we're doing this for the prelim. I think that's not an easy thing to do for us, but we wanted to do right by what we think is right for esports for Hearthstone. So in all these spectrums, we're like, okay, let's blow it up. Let's really work our butts off. Let's take all the resource we have and really do the biggest, best thing we can do in 2017. And then when we're brainstorming ideas for all the animals, unfortunately, it's like Mammoth just kind of gives you that feeling. Like it's going to be a mammoth ear. When we say it's going to be a unicorn ear, like, I don't know, like magical? Like, what does that mean?
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Can you promise me then that 2018 will be magical?
I can't promise anything, but I'll do my best.
Thanks for giving an actual serious answer to my ridiculous question.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like, people might laugh at us for having time we just thinking about what I have to go with in 2017. But I think it matters. We want to use kind of Year the Mammoth as kind of the other point that defines the year. So we'll see how it goes. With Kraken, it's kind of our time around. I think we did an okay, decent job. We did a good job with it. Like with Mammoth, I really want you guys to go through 2017 and like, hell yeah, this is the Year the Mammoth. Like, this is awesome.
This is also the year that Crip will probably call it Mammoth, I'm guessing. Year of the Kraken. I heard that many, many times watching his stream. All right, so we've talked a little bit about like what's around the corner, and that's all very exciting. But we've got you here, and we kind of started doing this at the beginning of the show. But let's talk a little bit about like the history of this game, and all of the changes that have happened since the game came out 4 years ago. Like, how much did you like know when you guys created the game? Like, how much did you guys like know what was coming down the line, or was it just like focused on, okay, we got these 300 cards, we got this awesome game, I guess just put it out, or like how much was planned? How many changes did you like understand were going to be coming down the road, compared to like the feedback you guys have gotten since then, and what you just already had internally?
So, some systems and some ideas were definitely already a twinkle like in our eyes, right? So we've always had the thought that something like Brawl would be a really good system for.
Oh, cool!
We can explore new ideas every week, and we can kind of give that unique experience on a week by week basis that maybe breaks the mold a little bit and gives that sense that things are always happening. So we were very excited about an idea like that. Of course, kind of the specific form that it took some time for us to zero down in on. Even adventures, like we knew launching that at first we're going to focus on the core experience, which is the 1v1 CCG experience. But we knew that there's a lot of cool space we could explore in a single player kind of missions in the kind of an adventure setting, where we can maybe tell a narrative or get more into detail vibe or characters. So, we had these ideas for what we thought was possible for Hearthstone and what we wanted to do with Hearthstone. We focused really a lot on philosophy, and I know some players like dig on us a little bit on this, or like, oh, whatever, philosophy. But I really think that's important. Like we spent a lot of time thinking about like what is Hearthstone? What makes us enjoy CCGs? And let's anchor down like what we're trying to do that's important for Hearthstone. And for instance, like one of the our design that we always go back to is like delightful surprise. Like when we made Hearthstone, we always wanted one of the core identities of Hearthstone to be that you don't know what's around the corner. This is silly. Even like the fact that we didn't have music this time around in a cinematic photo. In some ways, that was a very deliberate choice. I love the music, and everybody in the team does. And I really understand why people are like, "Oh, where's the music? We love it. We miss it." At the same time, it really started feeling like, "Oh, Jones doing another expansion. Oh, here comes another musical." You know what I mean? Like we just didn't want that to be the case. We really wanted to be like, oh wow, what are they doing next? Like what's the next expansion going to be? It's like, wow, what? Like crazy. And so, kind of going back to your original question, like, delightful surprise, and many of these like core philosophies, like we spent a lot of time thinking about, and I think we hold true to those to this day. Now, how our philosophies and ideas then make contact with the world and our players, and then like what works for our players and what are the expressions of this philosophy that jives the best and it's the most fun for our players. We've learned tremendously over the last 4 years. So, we had this like pillar of ideas, and then we had these kind of core ideas we want to go single missions and maybe Tavern Brawl and these types of systems that were tinkling in our eyes. But one of our main thing was also like once we get out there, people will play and we will play with them, and then we will learn from them. This is a learning experience for us. This is not a solved problem. So, kind of using some of those core ideas and philosophy and then learning from our players together. I think that's what helps us like flesh those ideas out. I'm sorry, my answer is really long-winded, but I'm a little passionate about
it. All makes a lot of sense, because I do think like there's a lot of people who think that you guys thought of the game in one way and then it came out and then everyone was like using it in a different way or something like that. But I kind of noticed that like you guys have just kind of put out a game that you like believed in, and then listened to what people said, and then kind of continued to put out a game you believed in based on what people were kind of giving back to you guys. Like that's how it always felt to me. And I always kind of felt like that criticism was a little bit odd to me. Like, oh, they never expected it to be competitive and blah, blah. I'm like, well, I don't know if they were worried about that. Like, it was like, just put out a good game and then, like, see where we get taken from there. Like, I love the idea that it was the most important thing was the philosophy of the game and, like, what you guys kind of envisioned it to be like. And the surprise around every corner thing is, like, a perfect kind of embodiment of that. And then now it's like, then you grow with the community and the community grows with you guys. So, no, that all makes perfect sense, man.
Yeah, I mean, one of the harder criticisms when I read it is when I read feedback from players where they feel like that their feedback doesn't matter, or that we're developing a game in a vacuum. And that one's hard for me to hear because, that's really important to me. Like, I've always thought of, especially, in the beginning, we're like 11-man team or whatever, it was critical that we play, work with our players, get feedback and grow. And then our players learn more about CCGs. We learn more about making these, and dialogue has always been so important to me. And I think a lot of it, like Team 5 has to do, I think, more and better. And, like, we're making a lot of effort to kind of maintain that small team, like, interacting with player feel, even as, we have way more player base, and maybe things are harder to keep more intimate, but we need to put more effort in there. So that's something that we're, that I think a lot and I focus on. I really do think our player base is an extension of the development team. Obviously,
and sometimes your player base is now part of your team. So
that's true.
I think we can go ahead and like just dispel that as a myth right now, because you guys literally just pulled in players and were like people who played the game a lot and had a lot to say about it, and were passionate about it. Now are actually helping make sure that there is not a disconnect between you guys and the community. So
it turns very hard to get even 3 people to agree with each other. Now you take N million players. People are going to have dramatically different opinions. Like, even if we look at examples like with cards like Yogg-Saron, you have very wide range of opinions with different players expecting different things from the game. And, it's never that we're not listening. I think we're learning more and more that it's a very difficult balancing act. And it's something that Hearthstone team is very focused on, hitting the right balance. So, I hope everybody who listens to this, at least that's the benefit of the doubt. Like, we're really trying to listen to all the perspectives. Like, strong opinion, maybe just take a moment and think about, could someone else be feeling a different way, an opposite way from me, and why? And I think that helps tremendously. I think all around, like, it helps us when we develop. I think it helps your anger, maybe if you're angry. I think it helps you actually have a dialogue instead of.
See, here's what I do. I consider the other people's feelings, and then I just throw them out completely.
You're gonna go far on the internet. You're gonna go very far.
That's exactly how people should be looking at things. Because you're right. Like, it's funny how much at this point last night I was watching a stream and I was like, it'd be so cool if they put Yogg in this deck. And I was like, wait, what? What just happened? I just thought about Yogg and how it would be cool. Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
So, getting back to the changes that have come over the course of now 4 years, Yong, are there any, like, personally for you, you're rather proud of, you're happy to have had a hand in?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm fortunate to work on a team where we really value cross-discipline participation. So we very much value feedback from people who are outside of a given field to when we do things. So, for instance, with design, it's not just the designers that come up with ideas, but different members of the team can pitch in and collaborate with the designers. And I think that's really powerful. So, that gave me a lot of opportunities to, we like to say, like, everybody has a designer inside of them That might not be the best designers, but everybody has a designer side of that.
Everyone has ideas.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to like express their inner designer and then have these conversations with each other and like learn about what works and what doesn't and like grow that. Just because like I'm a producer or maybe there's another member who's an engineer, like I don't think it's healthy to like meh, like I am an engineer, I will not design, like sometimes it works out that way, and we don't think that's healthy. So I mean, for me personally, some of the stuff I was involved with very early on with Hearthstone, I'm super proud of. One of the biggest debates we had leading to the launch of Hearthstone is, should we allow players to trade cards? And that was a very intense conversation to be had for a very long time, because we took the question very seriously, and there were so many pros and cons about both directions, and really it came down to like there is this fantasy of trading that is super cool. Like there's this fantasy, what I mean? It's like, oh hey, like I got this card and I'm gonna trade with this guy and he's something awesome out of it and I got something awesome out of it. Or maybe it's more of like a PvP situation where it's like, oh, I got a much better deal than he did because like I knew something he didn't and I got this nice card. There's this kind of fantasy about trading, and I spent a lot of time working with a team, and we built a lot of simulations about like what would the world actually look like if we allowed some kind of thing or some kind of a like open player auction house, like and it turns out that most outcomes are not that fun looking. It's like, oh hey, here's like n number of cards you really want. Those are worth like $bazillion. Here's all the other cards that are good but not as important as those cards. They're all worth $0. And it kind of creates that lopsided world that's like not fun at all. Like it doesn't give you what your fantasy desires, but then it creates all these other problems like, oh, now it's way more expensive to build the decks you want to build because all the decks you want to build now have these cards and those are not super expensive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, having had the opportunity to spend a lot of time thinking about that system and helping contribute to the final decision, I really feel like was the right decision. It was a decision focused on simplicity, understandability, approachability in terms of deck exploration. Like everybody can afford the same kind of desirable deck at the same cost, instead of there being this big discrepancy between those who can trade versus not, or those who opened up the correct cards or not, or at least the gap isn't as dramatically wide as it could have been. Anyway, so sorry, I talk a lot. Like I'm very passionate about that. That is interesting, though.
I will say that one of the byproducts of that philosophy is that Hearthstone is like the last CC or TCG or CCG where I open packs, really. And almost every other game, I basically just like figure out a deck and then seek out those individual cards, right? And it's not the same experience as
cracking 50 packs.
Opening them. Yeah, it's like that. It doesn't happen in other games because I'm just like, but I need these cards, like, and that's the least efficient way to get them is to just buy a bunch of packs. So you don't end up doing it, right? Then it kind of takes that experience out of the game a little bit, which is an interesting thing that you don't really think about very often.
And I think that's a big loss. Like opening packs is so fun. It's like it's funny because now we're kind of in this nostalgia mode, right?
Yeah.
like remembering all these things where when we first launched the game and people were streaming opening packs for an hour,
Oh yeah.
First we're like, wow, what are these people doing? Like, go play the game. But at the same time, we're like, you know what? Like, wow, we have succeeded in our goal above and beyond anything we've ever dreamed for. Where it's freaking exciting to open packs. Like at the start of every expansion, like I can actually sit down and watch a dude open packs and explore new cards, and this is exciting.
We do it every expansion, all three of us together.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
super great.
When we open packs and have that as like the title on Twitch, I swear it gets more viewers than when I actually play the game. It's like people just want to be part of the like legendary like moments that you just like the game is fun. Don't get me wrong, but what's even better is opening a legendary.
It's one of my favorite things we do, and it takes no prep whatsoever. There's no work or effort that goes into it, and it honestly, like removed when I think about it, I'm not even sure how fun it is to listen to, because the three of us are talking about our own cards that we're opening while we can't actually see them all simultaneously. Sure. But it doesn't matter. I love being there when I'm like, yeah, I got a legendary, kiss it, Dills, kiss it, and then he cracks a golden Kazakis, and I'm just like, no, and then at the end of it,
in your face. Well, like the great thing too is when you open a legendary from a new set, and then immediately you got like the excitement and like, you know, the you got the endorphins or whatever, and you're like, yay, here's your reward. But then you also, like, your brain starts to like think about all the possibilities with that. You're like, now I can make that deck. Oh my god, that's so cool. Like, I got Inkmaster Celine, and I'm like, okay, here, like, if I just get Kazakis, I'm ready. Reno Mage, here we come. And like, that was like the cool kind of thing of that is, as you open packs and you get cards, it steers you in different directions, and you start thinking about different ways to play. Whereas if I just like pick a deck before I start playing, I'm like, I would like to play aggressive, you know, red deck in Magic. Then I just seek out, you know, lightning bolts and
to that I just say, play limited.
Sure.
I open a lot of packs and limited.
Get the pack opening experience, but yeah, it's not quite the same thing. So.
For me, it is, because usually I have 30 minutes to craft my deck if I'm at a tournament, so I'm going through it as fast, if not faster, as I am a 70 pack stack in Hearthstone. I'm just like, go.
Then I know how you play though, Garrett, and then you like never play those cards again. You like play them, and then like you put them in a shoebox, and you're like, cool, that's
fine. I'm not there for the experience of keeping the cards. Sure. And that's why I'm totally fine with Arena. I don't care that I don't keep those cards.
Yeah. Actually, do you guys? This is a funny little trip down memory lane too. Didn't you guys used to have a version of Arena where you would keep the cards that you picked? I remember hearing this at one point, like in like Alpha. That was like one of the original ideas. Was Arena you would pick and keep the cards, and you're like, this is just, now we have to like make Arena cost a bunch of money, and it doesn't really work as well.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned, like, that was like the other system, like I contributed a fair bit towards, is like figuring out like cost of Arena, and do we or do we not kind of give away the cards you. The biggest, I think, reason why we didn't like the fact that you keep the cards was not just the fact that it makes every run way more expensive. And I think if you kind of enjoy that Arena experience, I think that's kind of a shame. Like, you know, because you keep the cards, you don't get to actually experience Arena as often. By the way, this is like when we used to call it the Forge or something. Like, it had like a name, and everyone's
Forge.
Like, yeah, like, wait, what is this place? Like, is this where I make new cards? But the other issue was it was like affecting the way people draft. They're like,
yeah,
oh, wait,
it's not a competitive thing. It's like, I'm just gonna pick this card because I want this card.
Yeah,
right?
like this happens unlimited as well, where like dudes would show up and then they're like, oh, I'm just gonna keep that mythic, and you're like, why are you taking that mythic? That's off color for you. It's like, oh, well, you know, it's worth $40.
Yeah, it's worth $40. Yeah, exactly. I just paid for my.
You know, and it's like, that's not good. That's a terrible experience for everyone involved.
Yeah, it makes it, because, you know, Arena has become for a lot of players, especially now that you guys have the leaderboard, a competitive experience, right? And so, and one thing like we talked about was, do gold cards now affect it in that way? Where I see the gold card, I'm like, well, I own that gold card. I want to play with a gold card, but you know, ultimately not in the same way that if you kept the card, it would. So,
yeah, that's an aspect of Arena that I feel doesn't get enough spotlight. Which is that, right? Like the decision to not keep the cards so that the price is low, so that it at the end of the day is about the Arena experience. It's about building a deck and seeing how it measures up to everyone else who got a random assortment of cards and had to go and build a deck as well.
Yeah, totally.
So moving on with no segue that makes any sense. We just saw a rather big change to ranked. Floors are here.
Yeah.
Any other improvements being considered that you maybe can talk about? I mean, we've talked on this show a bit about the more kind of now Blizzard traditional bronze through diamond again, just for I don't know, more gamified approach, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're very proactively looking at ranked mode. You know, like one of the things. You know, like, so one of our philosophies we challenge ourselves with, like, is challenge your assumptions. And, you know, ranked mode has been around for 4 years. I think it's easy to assume that like this is the best way to do it, and this is how it's going to be always be for the rest of time. We don't want to think that way. I think we really want to talk about, hey, what were our goals with ranked? Is our current rank system really hitting those goals? And if we think there's a better way to do it, what should we do about it? So those conversations are actively happening right now. I know a lot of players are like, oh, you're talking about it, or think about it. It's like, no, it's like, these are literally like conversations I would have with designers, like, yesterday or something, this is an active conversation.
Well, I think that everyone can pretty much agree that if you're going to make changes to ranked ladder, even people in the community who are asking for those changes, you want to make sure that they're well thought out and the right changes. You don't want ladder and the competitive experience to be constantly changing. So I don't mind you taking your time and putting a lot of thought into it.
No, I appreciate you saying that. Because definitely things that are painful about it right now, but there is definitely things about it that is working great. And I think it's easy to maneuver this in a way where we lose what's awesome about it in the process of trying to make it even better. So in the short term, we're looking into a lot of tweaks. And I think there's definitely little tweaks that can dramatically improve the experience. I think floor is one of them. I just made it to rank 15 with my aid rogue deck. And, now I'm like at 15, I feel secure. I'm going to like explore more. At least psychologically, it's doing what I want it to do, which is like, all right, go like have a good time and like try different stuff. Other things we're talking about is the way players get spread out at the end of the season, or at the start of the season, I should say. So we're looking at like bonus stars and maybe what's the right way to distribute that. So there isn't as much of a crunch that happens at the start of the season. I think it's always demoralizing when you're like ranked 15 and like half the guys you're playing on March 1st is like has legend card back. It's like what am I even
I don't
doing
even
here?
play in the first week of the month anymore. I'm just like, I'll let you guys climb your way up and get out of my way before I even start to try.
Yeah, exactly. So if we made some modification to bonus stars, could we create maybe a space there that improves that experience? It's not totally black and white here. I think sometimes players suggest, oh yeah, just give more bonus stars and the problem will be solved. It's like, actually, if you run the simulations, you realize that like you do that and then people's behavior change in a certain way, or people play games or win in a certain rate, and then you, instead of like 2 games into legendary card back dues, it's 4 games later you're into legendary card back dues. You know what I mean? So but it's we're actively exploring it. We got super smart guys kind of running a lot of different models about what we think will be healthy. So that's
all right. Sounds good.
I like the chat room suggesting that whoever got rank 1 legend should just start the season as legend.
But then it's easier for him to get rank 1 legend again, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be discussed.
The pro players probably would not be a fan of that. Like, yeah, but I've gotten rank 1 legend before, and now this season he got it just because he got lucky. Or
it's a ridiculous suggestion.
Like
I just think it's funny.
Even their opinion is right. Like, I think there are people who like that. At least a little bit of an approach to legend. It feels earned, Mm-hmm. And then there are people who are like, hey, I'm pro. I'm gonna make legend. Can you just
be legend?
Just start me in legend?
Sure. Yeah, like, do I have to go through this rigmarole of playing through whatever? Yeah.
And I think they're both very powerful arguments. And like ultimately, I would love the system to be at a place where we meet all these needs. And I think it will be a lot of incremental stuff that helps us understand better, and maybe some bigger steps later as we go along.
Okay, I'm gonna skip a question here because I think this segues really well, and that is, you talk about incremental changes to the ladder system, and yet Arena, you guys made like 8 changes all at once. So can you give us a little insight into the thoughts of like why to just make all of these changes all at one time? I mean, we heard from Ixar like an explanation of stuff, but I don't know if I really heard the philosophy on like why just throw all of them in at one point at one time and shit, because it got shook, like it's completely shooken up, right? It is crazy right now. how different it feels when you draft. And I've been playing almost exclusively Arena since the changes have been made. So I'm not saying they were bad because I'm really having a good time. I'm just wondering, like, when you guys are talking about it, the philosophy behind we'll do this and this and this and this and this all at once.
All at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couple things. We have been interested in making changes to the Arena for a long time. It's just with all the other things we got going on, it was difficult for us to, prioritize a technology that will allow the designers to try out a lot of different ideas, play test, and then kind of make the meaningful change we want to make. So, there was a lot of appetite that's been built up over the years about what we want to do with the Arena. And especially, if you look at players like Hafu and Krip and who enjoy Arena a lot, maybe, I guess some people say like they main Arena, right?
Sure.
Those players tend to have a very different opinion than people who casually play, Arena maybe once every other month or something, right? I think from the casual players, I think there was more of a shock factor where it's like, hey, Arenas go to, so it's completely different from standard, and I just want it to be wild and crazy and want to play around cards, like. That's why I go to Arena, right? I think we've gotten a lot of comments from those players as well, and we understand that. We appreciate those comments, and we're factoring that into account in terms of where we move next. So there's that group of players. But for players who really play Arena a lot, so these, in many ways, we want to at least do this first experiment to accommodate players, right? Like players who love Arena, play Arena every day. Like, hopefully we make changes to Arena so that those players enjoy it. Like, for those that the game, Arena was getting very stale. Like, it was evolving in a way where it's very, it's almost exclusively minion focused. It was very difficult to play around cards because there's so many cards in the pool. I think the idea of making a strategic decision, I think, was getting more and more difficult as the card increases, because again, you can't predict the cards they have. There aren't a lot of spells, which really makes it hard for you to have a reversal situation, and it's very like minion on minion action. So.
All right. There's a Jocelyn.
It had to happen at least once.
So I'm actually very well known in the team for saying inadvertently inappropriate things. So it's amazing that I get to do interviews, because sometimes awful things come out of my mouth. So we took all that into account. We wanted to make our first change be a good shot at addressing all of those concerns. I think we could have just made spells appear more. We could have, I think, just made adjustments to some cards that are, kind of show up egregiously too often right now. I think we could have just made change to kind of the race system, just because commons were dominating the situation. We could have just made a standard. I think those are all individual things we could have done. But, when our team play tested it, we really felt like all those changes together makes the best kind of synergistic package that I think kind of demonstrates like our best understanding now, right? We're continuing to learn, we're continuing to grow. This is our best understanding of what we think will be a really compelling and fun and strategic Arena experience. So we keep saying this, and it's not lip service. We invested time into this technology because we didn't want this to be a one-off, and once we do it, we're like, crud, it's going to take us another 2 years.
Yeah, like 3 years later, it's still like this. Yeah,
like, for all the players who have misgivings about the Arena, like, please play it. Like, please play it and then give us feedback. Like, I see so much theoretical feedback about it, and that's important too. I think feelings, even vacuum, is really important. But I think what will help us move forward is like play it and then give us constructive feedback. It's like there are too many spells and that makes me feel this way, or hey, now that it's standard, like I feel like I see, this dude drafted like, 11 Worgen greasers, and that's like not 5 or like whatever,
Sure.
right?
Personally, I would be really
I'll
excited
say
to go
that,
up against that deck.
It's almost like we got an expansion, like an Arena expansion, because all of these cards that just never existed. Like, it's funny because so many people said oh, you're taking out all these cards. And my thought was, no, they're adding in cards. Like there was never a point to ever care about rares, epics, and legendaries before, because they showed up so infrequently that it didn't matter, right? And so now it's almost like those cards suddenly exist in a real way. Like Brawl is a card you have to worry about now that a Warrior might have, and you never worried about Warrior having Brawl. Like you just didn't. Yeah. So in a way, it's actually added a whole bunch of cards to Arena, and I think and the idea of like having a legendary almost every run, that kind of stuff is just so fun, because those cards just didn't exist. You literally threw them out. Like I know Hafu has talked about this. Like I don't play around Shaman having AoE because all their AoE is rare or epic, right? So I just don't care. And and like so just now you actually have to concern yourself with that. And it's almost like you've gotten like they got an expansion in Arena before an expansion came for Constructed, which I think is very cool.
I'm really loving the timing too, because it's and this really is, this comment is directed only at the change the standard, but we've got a little bit of time now, who knows when, Young, before Ongoro comes out, and with Ongoro comes Mammoth, so we're getting a month and change to see what Arena is like, and then Year of the Mammoth is going to come, and the cards that we're going to be drafting are going to be shaken up quite a bit, and that's very exciting to me.
Yeah, one of the key reasons why we're trying the standard model is that the change will come at a regular cadence, every 4 months, no matter what. I think, we obviously have ideas to continue to tweak it. We can alter the system, but the attractive thing about having the standard system is that every 4 months, even if we don't adjust the Arena system, we will get really fresh new content because the card pool is smaller, additional cards matter a lot more. I feel confident that the Arena players are going to appreciate that. And then...
Oh, I do.
I like saying, like you're experiencing now, I think, 4 to 8 weeks from now, you're going to experience something different. And then, again, after the expansion after that, it'll be different again. This isn't to say, again, if we have feedback, it's like, hey, there's too many spells, too little spells, or, something else needs to dramatically change. I think we're in position to act on that feedback. We also have like other crazy ideas where it's like, oh, hey, what if for a week it's like, don't need draft mech? This is a terrible idea. I just came up with it. No designers are going to say this. But you know what I mean? Like we have the technology.
I see what you're saying. And people have brought this idea up too of like, Magic has what's called cubes, right? Where people just put together a set of cards and then we all draft from them. Yeah. If you could like rotate sets in and out just to kind of shake things up in between expansions, I think that would be something that people would be definitely kind of into. So
yeah, especially
I like the idea that you can use Arena as a little bit of, almost like, Tavern Brawl is like this sandbox where ideas can come in and out and do all sorts of different stuff. And to me, Arena, because of its kind of immediacy, you pay for a run, you play your run is done. So like the fact
here's
that
a thought that would blow your mind. What if there was a Tavern Brawl where you could Arena?
What?
Oh my god!
No, but I mean, yeah. So like, it feels like a place you can get away with this stuff. And I'm glad that you guys have made this. Like, I really am so excited because all the stuff you talked about, I play enough Arena that it was starting to feel that staleness, right? And so I was always like, I was like, I enjoy this. Why am I not enjoying it as much? And it's because I feel like after so many runs, you're like, I've done essentially the same thing over and over again.
4 years,
It's a long time, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So in a few years down the road, when we have a few more year ofs, we can have an Arena month of the Kraken, month of the Mammoth.
I mean, I don't even think we need to wait a few years. I think, again, like we want to see how this goes. I think there's also danger of changing things too quickly, too often. But
sure.
But I think there's appetite here. It's like, let's try it out. Please play. Please give us constructive feedback. We'll learn. We'll try different stuff.
Well, now with the leaderboards too, I mean, you want to at least give people time, I think, within a new set of ideas and rules to get good at it, right? And cream rises to the top before you like shake things up again. But yeah, absolutely. I think the Arena players who play Arena And there's a lot of guys like you'd be surprised how many are just exclusive arena. Well, you wouldn't be, but people would be.
I would be.
Yeah, like Young probably knows the numbers, but people I think are surprised when they find out that there are people who literally at the end of the month they're like, oh, I got to get to rank 20 to get my card back because all I've been doing is arena, right? Yeah. And that's all they really want to do.
Yeah, it was funny listening to you and Mumper talk last episode about that.
Yeah, we just like we play the whole game, right? I think the three. Well, I know Jocelyn and Garrett don't play as much arena, but you guys dabble and you come in and out. And like I try to play the whole game as much as possible. We do a show about it, right? Like we kind of have to be varied. But a lot of people I think just choose a thing and stick with it, right? Like this is what they do. They play standard. Like I play wild, I play arena, and so that those people have to feel like their format is important. Being catered to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I always, look at it, and I'm the one on the podcast always screaming, I love Limited and Magic. This isn't like Limited and Magic. And like now that these changes have come in for Arena, I realize that one of the things I personally like about that format Magic and keeps me going back to my local store to play in tournaments every now and then is that the card pool that I am building my limited deck from changes. I didn't really think about that. If you go and listen to like 199 episodes of The Angry Chicken and I come up with like things I would like to see happen to Arena, it's always about how I'd like to see like a best of 3 or to be able to play my friends. And I would still be excited about those kind of changes, but I didn't realize how much I actually cared about the actual pool of cards changing as much as apparently I do. Because that is like, now that is in Hearthstone, I'm like, wow, that's something I really enjoy about a more analogous Magic format. As well. So, anyways, are you okay on time, Young? I see you're checking the clock.
Yeah, I think 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Then, apparently we're launching a new expansion or something.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that.
Jeez.
So should we take some time now to play the game? I really want Yang to play with us.
All right,
yeah.
Let's play the game.
Let's play the game then. Okay, so Dills, set this up. You went and captured some quotes from us.
Yeah, we've done 200 episodes of this show, and it's interesting. Young at the beginning of the show talked a little bit about the growth of Team 5 and the growth of like the Angry Chicken. I think has definitely kind of gone along with you guys, and in a lot of ways, like our understanding of Hearthstone, deeper perspective on things, has continued to grow because our job is to get together every week and talk about this single game, right? And so I thought it'd be funny to go back and pull quotes from episode number 1 and try to figure out which of the 3 of us said these quotes. So
I'm so worried about this.
I didn't go through and try to find like where somebody like made like a butt joke or something like that. Or, like, I was trying to find like statements that might incite people to think like, who would have said this, right?
Okay.
So
all right.
They're kind of random from all over the place, but I got 7 of them. I'll just read it for you guys.
And then we'll go around the table, me, Joss, and Young, and get bets.
Yeah, and then you guys can like guess who you think it is, and then Garrett will actually be able to play the quote afterwards. And I think when you play it, it'll be pretty obvious who actually said it. So
I would hope so.
All right.
I do a mad Jocelyn impression. Yeah, go for it. So what's the first one?
All right. The first quote is goes like this. I tend to stack my decks closer to the 2 to 3 mana cards because I never make it that far.
Ooh.
Who do you think would have said that they tend to stack their decks closer to 2 to 3 mana cards because they never make it that far? And remember, the game was in like super beta, right? This was I think actually when we first did this episode, this was right after Rogues first got their big nerf, which was like their dagger didn't go to 2 attack and Shiv started to cost 2 mana and all that.
I think this is when everybody used to say 1-drop is terrible in this game.
Do you guys remember that? Yeah. Yep. Well, you didn't have tunnel trogs back then, so
yeah. So starting with Young, you think it was Jocelyn, Garrett, or Dills?
Oh man. I'm gonna go with Garrett.
Okay.
All right, Jocelyn.
Garrett, what do you think?
I think it's me.
Okay. Jocelyn.
I'm gonna go against the guys. I'm gonna say I think it's me because not getting past turn 2 is definitely something I would have done.
All right. I'm
Garrett,
queuing
play
it up.
that sound.
Here it is. It's a bit of a delay.
I tend to stack my decks closer to the 2 to 3 mana cards as opposed to the bigger cards because again I never make it that far.
Yep. Jocelyn, she thought that she would never make it farther than turns 2 and 3. But she was like, forget the 5 and 6 drops.
All right. Next one.
All right, this next quote. It goes like this: I played an angry chicken just because of this show.
I think that's Dills. I think that's Dills.
Anybody could have said that.
Yeah.
It could be anyone. But Dills is. Oh, you're going with Dills? Okay, I feel like Dills is.
He's the deck experimenter all the way from back in the beginning. So I think if he was trying to build a deck around Angry Chicken, it would have been Dills.
Because Dills always does this thing where it's like, oh, and then I put in that dude. He's got a cool hat, Like that's what I like to do.
I was like, I do a show called The Angry Chicken. I'll put in Angry Chicken. Okay, I see your logic. Okay. What about you, Garrett? What do you think?
I really don't know. I feel like Dills is a red herring because Dills was the one who suggested Angry Chicken as the show title.
That is
true. It was either me or
deep.
Joss.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Joss. Or no, because the last one was Joss.
Clip.
No, I'm going with. Wait, hold on, Joss. You said Dills?
I said Dills. Yeah.
I'm changing my answer to me. To me. So we got 2 Dills and a Garrett.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sitcom.
All right, here it is.
I played an angry chicken just because of this show.
Yeah,
I'm so
all right.
good at this game.
Joss is amazing at this, by the way. Holy crap.
Not amazing
right,
at making it to turn
3.
4, but amazing at this game.
Quote number 3. I think that's again why I'm enjoying the Rogue once again.
Definitely not Joss.
Totally a Garrett.
That sounds like me.
That sounds like his speaking patterns for sure.
Yong has eliminated Joss. Do you think it's Garrett or me?
I'll go with Garrett.
Yeah.
All right.
So everyone's guessing Garrett?
Queuing it up.
All right.
It's not Joss because she still hates Rogue.
Yeah.
I think that's again why I'm enjoying the Rogue.
I'm getting
once
better.
Again. It just played. It was me.
Oh. All right, everybody gets a point. Everybody gets a point. So what was funny about that, though, was, Gary, you also were like, yeah, I had like 15 Rogue wins until we started playing Miracle Rogue. So when I was listening back, I was like, really? He used to like Rogue? But then I remembered.
It was beta.
That's when
they were ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one.
I made it to Masters without even trying, or whatever the weird thing was.
I've had a lot of luck with the Hunter purely because of the numbers. Purely because of those numbers. Those old Hunter numbers. Hunter, the only class that uses numbers.
I want to go with Dills. I'll go with Dills.
Okay.
I'm going.
Garrett, what do you think?
I'm going with Dills. That sounds like a Dillsism.
All right, Jocelyn, what do you think?
I'm going with me just because first of all, that quote sounds stupid, and second of all, it's about Hunter. So I'm gonna go with me.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, loading it up, and again, there's a little bit of lag from when I hit the button and it plays.
I've had a lot of luck with the Hunter, only just purely because of numbers.
Purely because of numbers.
Out of context, these sound like...
I'm learning something about Josh. She knows herself very well.
Uh-huh.
with my inner Hearthstone player.
I think at this point, Jocelyn, you cannot lose to Garrett anymore, but Yong still has a chance here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
Garrett's
apparently
still tie.
I'm terrible at this.
Yeah. All right. Here's number 5. And then he proceeded to beat me with a chicken.
If it was she, I would have said me.
I think I remember this one.
Yeah? All right, who do you think that is?
Who do you think, Yong?
Gosh. Proceeded to beat me with his chicken, you said?
Well,
a chicken.
Then he proceeded to beat me with a chicken.
Oh, a chicken. Okay.
Yes. But there is a he in there, sure. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, you could be talking about somebody who played on the ladder. You could be talking about, yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go with Garrett.
All right. Yong says Garrett. Garrett, what do you say?
I say Joss.
All right. Jocelyn?
I'm going to go with Garrett. I think if it had been, because I do remember Garrett and I, the first time we played against each other, I polymorphed one of his dudes, and then he ended up delivering the killing blow with the sheep. So if it was about a sheep, I would have said me, but I
Okay.
That's
Go ahead
actually
and play that clip, Garrett.
our first episode is titled "Death by Sheep" for that very reason. Queuing it up.
And then he proceeded to beat me with a chicken.
Oh, I got one! I got one!
Garrett's the only one who got that right?
Yep.
All right. So here's what happened, Jocelyn. You said chicken, and then immediately was like, I mean sheep. I mean sheep.
Oh,
Yes!
curveball.
So I got
Wow.
you. I got you guys. All right.
Yes.
Number 6.
I feel like I get half a point for that one.
I mean, you actually described the conversation, so that's a good point. All right, number 6 is, I'm just angry because I want to read the Hearthstone subreddit, and you're all a bunch of whiners.
That sounds like Garrett.
That sounds like me.
Okay, Jocelyn, what do you say?
I'm gonna go Dills, just because I think Dills was like on the Reddit train from the very beginning. Not that I think it wasn't, and I do think that since there's actually someone saying they're angry, then that sounds a lot like Garrett. But I think Dills.
All right, let's load it
All right,
up.
let's hear it.
It's loading up. I'm just angry because I want to read the Hearthstone
that's
subreddit, and you're all a bunch of whiners. Yep.
That's right. That's right.
You're all a bunch of
wanted to
whiners,
read the
and
subreddit,
nothing has
but-
changed. The only thing that's changed is we have become a bunch of whiners.
All right, here's the final one, okay?
All right.
Right now, by the way, the score is Yong 3, Garrett 3, Joss 4.
So we could all tie.
It could happen.
We
Yeah.
could all tie.
All right.
That's right.
The final quote is, the shaman would be able to decide what totem came out.
That's totally you.
One more time?
The shaman would be able to decide what totem came out.
Would be able to.
Why would you say that?
I'm trying to think of the context. What came before and what followed after this?
I mean,
Can't
this is
tell ya.
episode 2. It was like before Discover and
This is episode number 1. Yep.
Yeah,
this is number 1. Gosh, what?
I think that
I-
is next level analysis. That is Dills, hands down.
I think I agree. I think it's Dills. I don't know why you said what you said, but I think you said it.
We don't know why we said anything that we said.
I will give context to the conversation after we play the
Afterwards,
clip.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm teetering between me and Dills because I played a lot of shaman at the beginning, but I also played a
That
lot
is
of rogue.
true. Garrett was the shaman guy.
I'm
yeah.
not sure, and it was all because I was a big StarCraft fan, and I was keeping up with Artosis's blog, and he had put up this post about how Control Shaman was the most broken thing ever because of Manatide Totem, and that's why I got into that. But I can't. I don't remember if that was pre or post episode 1 because I'm leaning towards Dills too. But I almost want to go me, so at the very least I can tie. But
Yeah,
You
right.
should go with you. You
I'm
should
going
go
with me.
you.
I'm just gonna play the odds.
Yeah.
I'm going with
Because
Garrett.
you'll lose if you choose Dills,
Yeah,
right?
Dills
But
is a losing move
the
either
choice
way.
of Garrett,
Joss, if
there's
it's
a
Dills, Joss
possibility of
wins.
tie.
If it's Dills, Joss wins. So I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to say
All right.
me.
Perfect line of play is Garrett.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. That is the
All right.
optimal line of play.
I'm going here, and I'm loading it up.
The shaman would be able to decide. what totem-
I win!
Jocelyn wins with a score of 5, Young with 4, and Garrett bringing up the rear with 3. So I'll tell you the concept behind, or the conversation at that moment was I was talking about how cool would it be if you had like superhero powers where you could pay 5 and then you could choose the totem, or like the mage would get 2 damage, or the hunter could put the damage anywhere, and blah blah. And so like later in the game,
Yeah, that's what I was
well, yeah. But so this was also, I was listening. It's like, this was the first appearance of Dills Stradamus. This was like on episode 1. But yeah, but my idea was that you would have the option the entire game to pay 2 or 5, and then you could like decide whether you wanted like a supercharged hero power. And for like shaman, it would be choose your totem. So
Kind of cool.
I was pretty proud of myself when I listened back to that. I was like, oh, look at this.
That's great.
I'm so proud of you for going back and listening to the entire first episode because
I did not listen to the whole thing. I did
was
skip
like,
around.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do that.
Our first episode was like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that. So no, I skipped around and found some stuff.
And I distinctly remember the meeting before we decided to start the podcast. Where we're like, "Do you guys think we're gonna have enough to talk about to make this a weekly show? Maybe it'll be every other week." You know,
thank
2
you,
a month.
Yong Woo, for giving us enough every single week.
No, thank you guys. It was a real pleasure to hang out with you guys. Can't believe it's already almost been 2 hours. I really enjoy listening to your show, and it's I have a long commute. It's something I listen to every week. I really feel like it helps me feel closer to not just you guys, but to a lot of the players. I really love the fact that you guys have 3 different perspectives on the game. Thank you so much for doing this for us, for the community. And here's to another 200 episodes, and I'll crank out another 400 push-ups.
Oh, man, you're going to be so yoked.
We'll see you in 2 years where you'll be doing 300 push-ups. And that was great. If anyone wants to see that callback, go and listen to or watch the VOD for episode 100 of The Angry Chicken, where Team 5 sent in a very, very touching video, which included Yong Woo doing 100 push-ups. So thanks again for coming on, Yong. It's always awesome. You were the first, I think, Team 5 member we ever heard from. And so it's super cool for you to come on. We know you guys are super busy trying to get Angora launched, so it means a lot that you made the time for this, and give everyone on the community team high fives for us for making this happen. I know Kenny's off
we
screen.
already got one high five down. I want 200 high fives, Yong Woo.
I'll do that. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, guys.
Have a good one, Yong.
Talk to you later.
And the overlay will explode when I remove Yong from this. So just be ready for that. And it's exploded!
It's hideous!
It's done! It's dead! We killed it! I'm just going to go to 3 frames and kind of slap this together.
Go old school.
We foolishly, listeners, thought that we would be able to do a 200th episode in under 90 minutes. And we were wrong. We were wrong. So, damn, that was fun. That was really awesome for Yong to hang out as long as he did. Dills, dude, I'm typically the type of person who gets a lot of anxiety when things are planned that I'm not aware of. That game was amazing. It was a massive highlight.
That was perfect.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, I forgot that I had talked to Jocelyn about that in an individual conversation and hadn't brought it up on the Slack. So that's on me.
No, but, totally fine.
I'm glad it worked out. I thought we were going to have to abandon it because of how getting the sound to play where we could all hear it was going to happen. So
yeah,
we did it, though. We pulled it together.
Yeah.
And made it happen.
Thank you. 5-second delay from hitting play, Dropbox audio feature on an iPad. So
worked perfectly.
Yeah, so pretty much we're at the end of the show now. I mean, there's one big thing left in order. Well, 2 big things. One is, are we all ready for a toast? Or can we start drinking now?
Sure. I got to go get a beer though. I don't have anything in front of me. But you know what? I am parched.
All right. So you go do that.
Running to get drinks?
Yeah,
All right.
I'll entertain. I will entertain the chat room and our audio listeners by soloing this bad boy for a couple of seconds, because I have been lucky enough to have my wife come home at the most opportune time and make me a martini. So how you doing, chat room? Everyone doing okay? Doing all right? You guys have been very chatty, very nice today. There's not a lot of trolling. No one's being a jerk to Yong Woo. That's super awesome. Jocelyn has made it back in record time. Almost as
all right, I'm back.
Awesome.
I have emergency brandy in a unicorn glass.
Nice. Emergency brandy. I like that. Yeah. I have Katie showed up at an opportune time, and oh cool, because of green screen my face disappears behind the water. Yes. Or behind the, well, what is this?
Is it appletini?
That is gin. That is a gin martini.
Oh.
That is the correct type of martini.
Yes, it's very it smells very good. So, I'm really bad at these kind of things, but here it goes. To 2 people I could not imagine doing the show without. Like, it's ridiculous to try and do it without you. It happens every now and then. Someone's sick, someone's on vacation, someone's traveling. And the show still happens because I think the Angry Chicken is bigger than any one of us. But that being said, I couldn't have picked two other super weird nerds to be doing this thing with for 200 freaking episodes. So here's to 200 more jobs done and beyond.
Cheers.
I agree. Cheers.
That was a much more satisfying clink into the microphone than I thought it was going to be.
And I will say this too. I definitely go through ups and downs doing something like podcasting as a profession. But I know that it's something that I want to do because every time I hang out with you guys, it's like way better than every time I went into a job and had a dumb meeting with people who butted heads about things that didn't matter. At least when we butt heads, it matters, and because we care about the final product.
Yeah.
So, I want to thank you guys for being there, even when like people are, sometimes it just piles up and it just gets frustrating. But like in the end, it's always like it comes back to why you want to do it, right? So, and that's because of you guys. I've been lucky enough to podcast with some really awesome people, and this show kind of was like my first real like we made this, right? Like not I joined it later and it got good or whatever, or you know what I mean? Or like I did a bunch of legwork and nobody else did anything, or somebody else did everything. Like this was like the first kind of like from the ground floor up team effort. All three of us together like built something really, really cool. So it's awesome. Thank you guys.
I 100% agree. I don't really know what else I could say on top of all of the stuff that you guys just said, other than thanks for sticking it out with me and actually giving me a chance to really get into Hearthstone and really learn the game, and especially in the early episodes. Thanks for your patience.
Dude, but you knew about how Hunter was good because of the numbers.
Like, the number one compliment the show received, that match. Like we got random compliments about Dills, we got random compliments about me, but like if there was one compliment we received that actually it was the same comment over and over again, it was, I'm so glad Jocelyn's on this show because I actually understand what you other two jackasses are talking about because she makes you stop and explain the Latin that just left your tongue. So
yeah, but also it is very true. Like the progress of you going from not a person who played a card game at all to, pushing for legend, like which is top 0.1% or whatever of the player base, like which is just something many people never come close to. That's one of the things like many people talk to me about. Like I think Yong Woo was like one of the first people who came to me and was like, it's just awesome to hear progression week to week, right? And you've gotten more shout outs from Team 5 than anybody because clearly they love you over there.
Jocelyn, you have an emote in the game.
You have an emote.
That's true.
Yeah, so if
that's pretty good.
Yeah, if no one has become Ragnaros, and it's the WoW emote, right?
It's WoW, yes.
Yes, it's the WoW emote, and now that I actually have an iPad plugged in, I can play this again. He says this.
So hot.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've kind of missed the little sounders.
Not with that inflection. He says it in a Ragnaros way, but
yeah, it's so hot, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've got the iPad plugged in. I can do that. It's just a bit of lag, but yeah, no, you dorks, you two are like siblings to me, and I'm stoked. This has been a fun episode. I'm getting alcohol in my body, which means I'm getting emotional. I'm gonna just start rambling. So we should probably wrap this thing up.
One sip of gin and Garrett's just done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I love you kids, man. You're like the best in the family I never had.
Look, he's like a married man right now. He's not he's not college bro Garrett anymore, who every weekend.
College bro Garrett. No, that's just
now it's like, oh, my wife made me martini.
Yeah.
Oh, like one sip, like I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
No, it's the emotionality. I mean, if I can dogpile onto some of your comments, Dills, which is like you get a little overwhelmed at times with feedback from, nameless strangers on the online. Dude, I get that. I understand that too to a great degree. Yeah, I mean, people probably notice on the show, Dills, there are a lot of differences between you and I. But I think the one binding thing we have is we're both pretty emotional dudes. And when we hear mean things on Twitter and YouTube and Reddit, and maybe email to us personally, and maybe just yelled at us in a chat room on Heroes of the Storm, or DM to us on
I
Hearthstone.
thought you were going to say yelled at you on the street.
Or yell at us on the street. You never know.
Some guy walking by, you suck.
Getting my hot dog at BlizzCon, some dude's just like, Angry Chicken is terrible. But yeah, no, I totally understand that, and yeah, so there's that. Don't let it get to you. I tell that to everyone, including myself and Dills.
The funny thing is, like, I think we've all learned together not to let it get to us, but then there's just like certain moments where like it just builds up, right? Like it's just like a bunch of things all happen at once or something like that, and then you just get like, but it's funny because now because of you guys, my reaction has been much more of like, I'm just gonna leave the internet for a while and I'll be back.
Yeah, take a break.
And then when you come back, it's like you're fine again, right? Or like to come back and start prepping for this show or something like that. So when you again start to realize why this is what we love to do, right? It's like when you hear stuff, because it's like most people go to their job and then maybe their boss will say like, this wasn't that, you didn't do that good or something like that, but they don't have like random people that they don't know just like poke their head in like, hey, you suck, man. Like that just doesn't happen, right? So it's a weird thing, and you have to kind of get used to it and toughen up a little bit and understand that. But definitely it helps to like have you guys as sounding boards. People I know I can go to who understand what that's like. Because not everybody does, right? You talk about it on the internet, people are like, get over it, man. And it's like, well, yeah. You don't like understand what it feels like, so then you guys do, and it's nice. And like I think that's part of the thing where you were talking about it feels like siblings almost in a way where like we've gotten to know each other so well. And you know that you have people who have your back, right?
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the flip side, like, with the bad comes an overwhelming flood of good. I mean, you just go look at us on iTunes, see how many 5-star reviews for the Angry Chicken have come in. You look at our Reddit, look at our Twitter mentions and all that kind of stuff. Because of you all, the listeners, that's why we're doing it. That's why this is hit episode 200, because of we always mention the Patreon and the patrons, and that is on a practical level very much a part of the reason we're still here and we're still doing this. And even though all three of us now no longer have traditional day jobs, we're allowed to keep doing this. But beyond that, even if you can't afford it, you're not in a position where you can't support the show monetarily, because that's one of the things, on top of you suck, you're a total scrub, Garrett, I hear. The other thing I hear most often is, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't be a patron. And that's not expected. It's there if you can and if you want to. If you feel you're getting enough value, you can give value back. But if you're just out there saying nice things our way, telling your friend who enjoys Hearthstone about the Angry Chicken, that's
sending emails to the show.
Yeah, that's really why at the end of the day that this show is still around. The fact that we have just given up on the inbox to a certain degree. We still get in there every day, every week, and we still pull emails out. But there's just no way at this point we can keep up with them all. We try our damnedest. I read as many as I can. If they're like personally addressed, I try my best to reply to you. But it's a feverish pace with which you all give out to us. You outreach to the Angry Chicken, and it's ridiculous. It's something I haven't experienced on really any other show to this magnitude. So even the
instance at this point, which listener base wise is just insanely huge. Like I really do feel like this show has proven to me how much more like interaction there can be. Right, because a lot of people send in emails that don't really have anything. Like we get like weird spam and all this other stuff. You like look at real emails asking us real questions, and this show definitely has outpaced that one. And that's just because like the awesomeness of our community that's been built. There's things like Taco. There's things like TAC Game Night people have put together. Like essentially, the Dills Hearthstone League is just an offshoot of this show. Like all of these things happen because this community here like wants to participate, wants to hang out with each other, wants to make friends with not only us, but each other. And, I want to be as accessible as I can be to that community because of how cool it is, like how amazing it is, and the awesome people I've met. So that is, like you said, this is a brand new experience for me as a podcast host to have that much reciprocation and participation. It's pretty cool.
I clearly was clearing my throat and was muted. You hit these milestones and you look back on it, right? Because it's become the norm. And like this is my day to day is Tuesday morning, wake up. All right, what's the notes look like? All right, let's add to it. Let's get to work.
Yeah, they just kind of keep coming, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, 200.
Yeah, and it just gets there, and it's how did this happen? How did this happen? How am I still struggling to explain to my friends what I do for a living? And that happened again this weekend because a lot of friends were out of town for a sad reason, but it was a fun event regardless. But
or explain to the IRS.
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Oh my god.
I will not. Like, why are you trying to deduct video game purchases?
Because reasons, okay?
Because my
totally
job
legit.
lives
So your
and dies.
WWE Network subscription is deductible, you say.
It is, by the way, if you're covering wrestling, which you are. Card packs are totally deductible because we do a show about them.
Those are the benefits. The bennies.
Yes. Thank you, patrons. Not only are you giving us a paycheck, but because we're making money talking about Hearthstone, we get to deduct Hearthstone packs. So it's a double-edged sword of awesome. Anyways,
Shall we wrap it up?
I think we should wrap it up. I'm going to move specific patron thanks to next week. I think what would be the best right now is to just thank every darn patron right now over at patreon.com/TAC, past and present. If you've ever supported us, if you've ever given us a cent, we really do appreciate it. We don't just bring it up as money grubbing. Like everyone is like, oh, every decision Team 5 makes just for money. We hear that from time to time about the Angry Chicken. That is not the case. This is just what we're doing for a living, and it's crazy that we get to do it for a living. So thank you if you've ever supported us. We really do appreciate it. Other than that, thank you to the Angry Chicken Cluckers, the Angry Chicken community, whatever it is you want to call yourselves. I don't even know. Maybe you came up with your own pet name that I'm not aware of. Everyone, you're badass. So that's going to do it. As always, find the whole back catalog, including episode 1 all the way through 199.5. Which was an actual episode, over at amove.tv. Follow the show on Twitter at TAC Podcast. If you want to fly your nerd flag for the Angry Chicken loud and proud, head on over to shirts.amove.tv to pick up a t-shirt. Or if you want a beer mug or a coffee mug, go to etched.amove.tv. Dills, where can folks find you when you're not getting mushy and talking about the trials and tribulations of getting a bunch of compliments and then getting a bunch of people yelling you suck randomly at you?
I'm just going to say you can find me next week on the Angry Chicken, because that's where I'll be. And in between, whatever.
I like that.
Awesome. Well, Joss, you going to be on Angry Chicken next week?
As far as I know.
Cool. I am too. And with that, for more than the 200th time, because we've done hangouts and in-between episodes and brawl episodes and streams, but for the manyth time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes! Good job.